Honor where you're at in this moment while continuing to become an even better version of yourself. There is no destination. You are already here. Honor where you are in this moment. Welcome to Path to Alignment with Hungry Yogi. My name is Natalie, your host. I'm a trauma-informed life alignment coach, yoga teacher, and retreat facilitator. If you made it here, you are ready to awaken parts of your soul that have been waiting to be unleashed. We will cover any and all aspects of the human experience. We get open and vulnerable about life and cover the shadows of life as well as the light. I'm so grateful that your soul found its way here. And if you would like to go deeper into your personal development journey, book a free 30-minute alignment call with me to learn about having me as your personal life coach. All the links to learn about my offerings are in the description. Without further ado, let's get aligned. Hi, Path to Alignment fam. So good to come into this space right now and just do a little check-in with everyone. It's been a little while since I've recorded an episode. Wow, life has been lifing and it's been fast. And if you tune into the previous episode, I talked a little bit about an event that I had over the summer called Matcha Mama Yoga. And the whole intention of that event was to ignite the fire within, just like the season of summer, to ignite the fire within, to awaken things that are ready to be awakened, and to really embark on a lot of goals. Summer is a very exciting time to do that, to step into the things that we've been wanting to do, that we've been holding off on doing. And man, oh man, have I been doing exactly that. Seriously though, since the event, it feels like a fire legitimately got ignited within me, and things have just been nonstop in a really good way. And at the same time, I've been very much on the verge of getting burnt out a few times. There's been a few times where I've been like, oh my gosh, okay. Like, I'm getting everything that I asked for. I'm getting everything that I've manifested. And do I have the capacity to hold all of it? So it's been the past few months, the past few years, to be honest, have really been about expanding my capacity to hold more, expanding my bandwidth, expanding who I am as a human and how much I can actually hold. And when we're in that exploration period of how much can I hold, there is a lot of edges that we push against within ourselves, because as we're exploring how far can I go, sometimes we do go a little too far. And even in the moments that we go a little too far, those create opportunities to expand our bandwidth to then be able to hold more. An example that's coming to my mind immediately as I'm saying that is, for example, when I see mothers, like a woman that goes from not having kids to having kids, their capacity to hold more, just it legitimately happens in such an incredible way. The initial phases that I've seen, I'm not a mother, but that I've seen, for example, my sister just had a baby. So I've really seen just like from the beginning of it being like really intense and really hard to hold the baby, the schooling, the work, the relationship, all the things, and then to still be able to nurture and nourish your own self. It's a very small capacity at the beginning. But as time goes on and we start to adjust to the shifts and the changes and all the things that are being thrown at us, then that capacity begins to expand and grow. That's happened for me in my business, from going from being in school and working to then going into being an entrepreneur and slowly building my bandwidth to hold more. Like first it was teaching yoga classes and being in school, and then just like expanding that capacity to be able to be in school and teach yoga. And then eventually it expanded into life coaching and being able to hold my clients. Then from that, it's okay, now let me throw events. Let me start with like smaller events. And then from that, the capacity began to grow more and more for what I'm able to hold, to now then being to hold events 4 times a year that have become now mini retreats, where there's 30 to 50 people or more that I'm holding space for. And then at the same time, learning how to hold myself through the journey, through the process, and to also do all the other things that I'm wanting to embark on. There's so many things that, like, when you tap into your creative energy, it almost like it's like a like water breaking. It's like, I don't know if that was a good example, but it's like the floodgates being unleashed. The floodgates have opened once you open your creative channels and your creative energy. This is something that I hadn't really explored in my life. My creative channels and energy had been shut down for so many years, primarily due to drinking alcohol, doing drugs in my early years, and then just being completely shut down from my intuition. Ways that we shut down our intuition, from aside from alcohol, drugs, is gossiping, hanging out with people that don't feel in alignment with us, investing our energy in things that don't serve us, having relationships, like romantic relationships that are not meaningful, wasting our sexual energy, having a lot of sex, especially when it's like completely unintentional, not meaningful. You are literally like wasting that creative energy. So for the majority of my life, I lived from that place of my creative channels were shut down. They were closed. I used to actually say, I'm not a creative person. Yeah, I'm just not very creative. I wish I was more creative. That was the story that I used to live in until I met my girlfriend and started opening up creative gateways, because she is so creative. She's been an artist for many, many years. Like her whole life, she's been an artist actually, and her creative channels have been open forever. She also had parenting that encouraged her to be really creative and to step into that version of herself. So when I met her, it was really like something awakened within me. I was already kind of tapping into the space of creativity, but meeting her was like a whoa, like this is all possible. So it's been really cool to have a partner who's really creative, because it motivated me, it inspired me. So this is really to say, like, tap into your creative channels in whatever way that you can. Get around people that are creative, because that's how you get inspired. We don't know what's possible until we see it. And once you see it, then it's an opportunity for you to step into that. So ever since I opened my creative channels and have really stepped into this creative version of myself and let go of the story that I'm not a creative person, it's like I don't even know how to shut them anymore. And sometimes it can be too much, because it's like so many ideas start coming down and you want to do all of them and you want to embark on every endeavor and everything. And you don't know where to start, but then you get started and then you start something but don't finish it, because it, like, you just open up the energy, but then you realize, actually, I still have all this other stuff to do. Or, oh my gosh, there's a whole new idea. So whenever you're starting to go into this creative energy, it can be really easy to kind of get lost and to get overwhelmed and to burn yourself out, because you don't really know where to go and what direction to take. So the past few years, that's kind of been a place that I've been in. And that's not a bad place to be. Like, although there has been burnout and although there has been confusion, even that confusion has led me to exactly where I need to be. So there's no mistake, even in that creative journey of not knowing where to go. The not knowing where to go is what helps you determine where to go. It's the law of opposites. Once we know the opposite of something, then we can really know like exactly what it is that we want. So when you know what you don't want, then you know what you do want. And this is something that can be utilized in so many areas of your life. Maybe you don't know exactly what job you see yourself working in, but it can be really easy to know which one you don't see yourself working in. So when you're thinking about like, well, I just don't know what I want in life, okay, then what do you not want? Like, what is something that you really don't want? And then from there, kind of narrowing down, what do I actually want? In your dating life, maybe you don't know exactly what you are wanting to attract into your life. Maybe you're actually wanting to keep yourself open for what you are calling in, you're attracting into your life. But maybe it starts with understanding, what do I not want? Maybe I don't want to be in a relationship with a person that doesn't nurture me, or a person that's not very compassionate, or a person that doesn't like to travel. Like, maybe there's those certain things that you can understand, like, I don't want those things, to understand what you do want. So when it comes to our creative channels, it's the same thing. We have to kind of go on the quote unquote wrong dates to understand, okay, this is what I want to do. So in the first years of an entrepreneurial journey, a creative journey, just embarking on something new, you get to define what you don't want so that you can get closer to what you do want. Side note, this was not what the podcast episode was going to be about today at all. I don't know why this is all coming out, but there's a reason for it. So if you're listening and you're in for it, cool. Maybe you needed to hear this right now. There was actually a whole other topic that I was going to talk to you guys about. But this had to come through for some reason. I think I'm just explaining or letting you guys know like what the past few months have been like, because I feel like every day in my journey, I'm getting to know so much about myself and my life. And I honestly feel like the best way to get to know yourself, start your own business. Like that is a way to really get to know yourself. I'm sure there's different ways. Like I'm sure moms would be like, best way to get to know yourself, have a child. I'm sure that's like a whole reflection of you. For me, the business has been my child. So this has been my way of really getting to know myself, of getting to know my edges, of getting to know what makes me super uncomfortable, of understanding my capacity, how much can I hold, what gets me like really frustrated and overwhelmed, what does my schedule need to look like so that I can become an optimal human being for my business. The business is a reflection of me. When I see that things aren't really like thriving in some way, or I'm not attracting certain opportunities, then it's an opportunity for me to look at myself and see, okay, where am I not in integrity? Where am I not showing up authentically? Where am I giving too much energy to one thing that is making it not available to bring in energy somewhere else? So it's just been a journey. And I think this podcast, Path to Alignment, it's honestly been such a personal thing for me as well, like my own personal path to alignment. And from the beginning of this podcast to now, there's just been so many evolutions of me. And it's cool that you guys have gotten to kind of see parts of me. And there's so many more parts to come. So since my Matcha Mama in the summer, life has been a beautiful whirlwind. It's been expansive. There's been opportunities coming from every area, and feels almost like I am sitting in the middle of what I was wishing for, hoping for many years ago. To be sitting in it is a really cool experience. And I know that I will continue to be sitting in many things that I'm wishing for, because we're actually all powerful manifestors, and we have beautiful abilities to set goals and to bring them to fruition. And I've learned that over and over. And what that has taught me, like sitting in the middle of things that I've manifested for many years, is that you will get to where you're wanting to get. And when you get to that place, there's going to be another place that you're going to want to get to. It's almost like this never-ending cycle of, okay, I'm here, and now I want this. Okay, now I'm there, and now I want that. And I'm really starting to learn that this can become quite a vicious cycle that can keep us in a loop of feeling unsatisfied. And I don't say that to say that I'm feeling unsatisfied. Quite the contrary. I feel extremely satisfied with my life, with where it's at, extremely grateful for everything that has come into my life that I was wishing for, that I had written down in my journal years ago. I've gotten to the other side of pain, of many years of like experiencing a lot of shame, a lot of grief, a lot of resentment, anger, hiding, just like hiding from myself in so many ways, while simultaneously not hiding at all, like really being out there. But to be on the other side of pain, which years ago I was wishing to be where I'm at now, where there's acceptance from family members on my relationship. That's one thing. Where I've accepted so many parts of me, where I finally feel like I'm not seeking anything and it's just like I'm just here. it's a really cool feeling to be in that place. And now I see why I was sharing everything at first. It's actually about to tie together to what I actually wanted to talk to you guys about today, which is so great, which is cool, because something I've been wishing for in the past few years has been to like be able to communicate things with more clarity. And it's amazing when you do a lot of inner work and somatic healing. I've been in so many coaching containers where I've been the one getting coached and moved through things in front of hundreds of people in a coaching container, in a coaching call. And then to be now 2.5 years into my own business, and then seeing how I've been showing up recently compared to how I was showing up at the beginning, and just being like so proud of myself for that, because sometimes we don't realize that the inner work is working until we get to a moment where we're standing in front of other people and talking, and then we hear ourselves and we're like, oh my gosh, I wasn't even able to talk like this 2 years ago. Or where we would have so much shame around something, and then we find ourselves shamelessly speaking about that thing, and then catching yourself like, wow, 2 years ago I would have never been able to say that. So it's really beautiful to be on the other side of shame, pain, anger, grief, and to be able to look back and be like, wow, I was able to do it. I got here. Here I am. Cool. So here's where we're going with this. I just got back yesterday from a retreat that I went to the past few days. My personal life coaches hosted a retreat for the academy that I was a part of, the coaching institute that I was a part of, where I got certified to be a coach, called Elementum Coaching Institute. And they hosted a retreat in Austin, so it was just a few hours from here. And the retreat, the whole intention of it was for us to have like a reunion, because our coaching program was virtual, but also for it to be an expansion retreat, for us to really embody more of the inner work, to be able to lead our clients into even deeper places. The past 2 days, I'm like still processing. I've been just integrating. I was going to make plans today to do something, and then I was like, nope, I'm going to just be home. I'm going to integrate, which is something so important to do after you experience something like really, really pivotal, something that takes like a lot of energy to process and to move through. It's so important to give yourself time. And that might even be like going on a trip across the world, or even just going on a trip to go see family members, and then coming back home, being really mindful of what are you doing right after all of that. Like, did you just go on the most beautiful trip of your life, and then you came back and immediately the next day you're back at work, or back doing something that you may not really enjoy, or back and just hanging out with a bunch of people? Or did you give yourself time to really like integrate, process, journal, sit with the memories, the thoughts, the things that came up? If you were hanging out with family, maybe there were some triggers that came up, or maybe there were some glimmers, some things that made you feel really good that came up, but you didn't really process them. Or maybe a memory that you just like want to lock in, and you get to sit down when you come back and like go on your journal, or just take a moment to like talk to somebody about it. That talking to somebody about things is a beautiful way of integrating as well. Anyone that's come to my Matcha Mama events, I always say after the event, try not to make any big plans, try not to go out dancing, drinking, like your energy channels are open right now. So you want to really take time with yourself to just be. So that's what I've been doing today. And as I was sitting here processing and integrating, I wanted to share one particular theme and topic that came up for me the 2 days in this retreat. So we did a lot of different practices, somatic practices. We did really intense breath work. We did some ecstatic dancing type of stuff, but it was also a way to really like look deeper within, to embody parts of ourselves that we're hiding, release any stuckness, any limiting beliefs, any things that were blocking us from our own business, from our own lives, from our relationships, just any paradigms that we were all holding. And to be in a room with 50 people and doing breath work, and people are crying and they are saying things and they're screaming and they're expressing and they're releasing trauma from childhood and so many things. It can be so intense and it can be so fucking beautiful and expansive because it's an invitation for you to go deeper into whatever it is that you're feeling, into whatever it is that you may be suppressing. So I learned a lot about myself over the past 2 days. I released a lot of limits that I've had for myself. I would say that over the past few years, my relationship to myself has shifted in so many ways. One of the ways has been my ability to connect to my body is it's tenfold. It's incredible. Like I can really feel emotions in my body now, something that I was never taught before, something that I wish I had known when I was younger because I had so many anxiety attacks growing up and I never knew how to connect to myself and my body and to like release all of that. So I learned over these past few days just how embodied I feel in my own body now and in being able to express emotions through my body and feel them. There was one particular area where I was like still feeling a little bit blocked, and I think awareness is the number one step to unblocking anything that you're feeling in your life or anything that's just not really allowing you to move forward. So for me, something that still feels a little bit blocked is my ability to express, my ability to just really express in an authentic way. And I know that for people that listen to the podcast, you're probably like, what do you mean? Like you express so deeply, you express so much. And I know that I do express, like I've always expressed since I was little. But the place where I hold back is letting go of shame around certain things or expressing without filtering and thinking about how are others going to receive this. That's something that I've really been working through is how to express without holding back out of fear of being judged, out of fear of pissing someone off, out of fear that somebody will not like me or not want to be in my presence. And I'm ready to let go of that. But it's a process, especially when you come from being a people pleaser your whole life and feeling like you need to hold back parts of yourself so that people feel like they can resonate with you. I know for me, this comes from like I've shared many times on the podcast, from moving a lot growing up and going from moving almost every year or every 2 years from the age of 8 years old until I was like 20. That was really difficult in the way that every time I would move, I would merge into whatever I felt I needed to be accepted in that environment. So that was my protective mechanism. That was my protective strategy, my survival strategy, so that I could survive in these new spaces of being a young girl and moving from one city that was very progressive, very open, very liberal, to maybe moving to a small town that was very conservative and very religious and just very different. So then understanding, like knowing how to get into those spaces and then scan the room for safety, that created a lot of blockages in how I express myself. Because if you're always searching for safety in a room, and if I say this one thing, I'm going to be deemed a loser, I'm going to be looked at as if I don't belong in the space, then that's going to create a barrier in how you actually show up in any space. So I have so much compassion for the part of me when I was younger that created this protective strategy of pleasing people through her words and through her expression so that she was able to survive in these places, that she felt accepted and not like an outcast. I have so much compassion for that version of myself. And I see how she still plays a role in so many areas of my life that a lot of people may not notice it at all. I think a lot of things we just see it for ourselves. And I'm proud of myself for how in the past few years I have stepped into a more authentic version of how I express. This podcast has been a huge platform for that. It's been a huge catalyst for how I express. So I just know it's going to get even more expansive from here. And having that awareness is number one step to any healing journey, to anything that you're wanting to step into in your life. So very, very proud of myself for that. And my intention going into this retreat the past 2 days that I was to express, was to speak, was to put myself in uncomfortable situations. So when we got to the retreat and they passed the mic to some people for us to share, like, why are we here? What I said was, I'm here because I'm ready to be seen. I'm ready to be uncomfortable, and I'm ready to express, even if it feels like I don't know what to say or like I want to hide. So that's exactly what I did. I put myself at the very front row every day of the retreat as much as possible, right in front of the coaches. Anytime that they would hand out the mic, for the most part, I would raise my hand and be like the first or second person to say something, because that was my intention. And that's the shit that makes me the most uncomfortable. Normally, I will be like in a group setting like that, I'll be more like inwards, or I won't really express, or I'll be more of the observer. I'll watch what everyone is saying, and then I'll feel comfortable to express. But my challenge for these 2 days was, I will express even if it feels uncomfortable. So I hope that even me sharing this for you is a catalyst for you to step into something that you might be resisting. So the main thing I want to share here, besides all of that, is during some of the practices that we did, like the breath work and a dance that we did where we were like yelling out things that we're ready to release, one particular theme kept coming up, and I kept saying it out loud and I kept repeating it, and it just felt it felt true in every cell in my body. And this was, there is no destination. You are already there. There is no place to go. There is no place to go. There is no other place to be. You are already there. Just take a moment to digest that sentence in itself, because I think often we get attached to the destination, the goal, the amount of money we want to make, the job we want to have, the relationship we want to be in, the house we want to live in, the place we want to move to, the destination, this thing that feels over there and like we're over here. And there's this like separation happening between the destination and where we are now. And something that we place between where we are now and the destination is our happiness and our joy. So there's this separation now between where I am now and the amount of joy that I allow myself to experience in this exact moment, and the joy that I could possibly feel when I get to this destination, to this place, to this relationship, to this amount of money. So there's this separation that we're placing between the joy that we feel now and the perceived amount of massive joy that we're going to feel when we get to that space. Had to take a quick water break. Also, look at my sippy cup. I made this, y'all. If you're watching on video right now, I literally made this sippy cup. I went to a pottery class and I created this incredible clay mug, sippy mug. And I am planning on making a lot more. See, this is where my creative channels just burst open, and I want to do 100,000 things, and suddenly I'm going to become a pottery person. So pray for me so that I can embark on that journey and expand my capacity to hold this as well, because this is actually something I really want to do. And it's create sippy mugs, a bunch of sippy mugs, like mass produce sippy mugs. So I'm going to find a pottery place that will allow me to mass produce sippy mugs so that I can have these at my Matcha Mama yoga retreats for people to have their own clay sippy mug made by yours truly. So stay on the lookout for sippy mugs, because this is totally going to be like my next thing. Oh my gosh. But anyways, what I was saying is the destination situation, that there's this like joy that's between us and the destination. And the thing that kept repeating in my mind was, there is no place to go. Like, there legitimately is no place to go. You are already there. Like it's already here. So something that continued to come up is stop waiting. Stop waiting. You are already there. The reason that this kept coming up for me is because an overarching theme the past few years for me, as I've been building my business, has been also seeking validation from family members so that they see that what I'm doing somehow is legitimate, even though it's very difficult to explain to other people who have never embarked on an entrepreneurial journey what an entrepreneurial journey really is like. Like there isn't just this uphill moment. It's like waves. It comes in waves. There's days that it feels like, "Oh my gosh, I'm on top of the world. I'm doing the thing. I feel so successful, blah blah blah." And then there's days where it drops. And then there's days where we feel extremely successful, but it has absolutely nothing to do with money. And this is what I feel legitimately every day. Like this success just simply because I love what I fucking do. Like every day I get to wake up and I get to kind of create my own rules, my own schedule, and create these just like these offerings that are so incredible that can help human beings become better. Like I fucking love what I do. So that in itself is success to me. But to family members that maybe only see money as the source of success, as the result, as the destination of, oh, okay, you've made it, it's extremely challenging to explain, okay, maybe I haven't made it financially or in the way that you think that I should make it, but I've made it in my heart. I've made it for myself. My soul feels complete, feels successful. I'm already there, right? I'm already at the success. So the past few years for me has been really like untethering from this need and desire for validation from family members or from anybody that doesn't understand that the entrepreneurial journey is a game of going in waves, of ebbs and flows, and of letting go of expectation. It's a very present game. It's a very in the moment type of game where from moment to moment things can really shift. One day things can be this way, the next day things can be a whole nother way. So there is no destination. You are already there is what continued to come up for me. And also just letting go of the idea that there is a destination. And I think often we put this whole like arbitrary destination as where we need to go, but I almost feel like that is limiting us. When we set a goal, it's so important to, yes, be intentional with the goal and be direct with the goal, while also understanding that our goals are actually limiting to us as well. Because when we set a goal, we're setting it based on something that maybe we have seen to be possible. Maybe we have like a role model or someone that we see and we're like, I want to be like them. And while that's beautiful and while that's a really cool like place to look towards for inspiration, it can also limit you in the way that you could be way more than whatever it is that you're thinking. The goal could be something way grander than what you think. Because when we set a goal, it's just simply being put there. You're planting a seed. But the way that it grows could be any way. When we plant a seed, we have no idea how the tree is going to grow. It just grows. It might be a certain way. It might grow with leaves that lean a certain way. It might take longer to grow than another tree. So a goal is simply seed that's being planted, and then we get to just sit back and allow God, source, the universe to do the work of how that tree is going to grow in our lives. So there is a beautiful process of just letting go of what the destination is, just planting the seed and allowing that to blossom in whatever way that it needs to blossom. I want to read you guys something that one of my coaches said at the retreat that really stuck with me, and I loved it so much. He said, disconnect from the idea that where you are going is somehow better. Disconnect from the idea that where you are going is somehow better. And that's exactly what I was just saying. Like we might think that where we're going is one particular direction and that that's like the best place to be. But when we get to disconnect from that and we just see it as that's just another place in my life, we don't put it up on a pedestal. We don't see it as that's the better place to be than where I am now. But when we get to actually just sit where we are in this moment, maybe in this moment you're going through something really painful. So the next moment feels like, okay, that's where I need to be. Like that's where it's going to be better. But what would it look like to disconnect from the idea that that next moment is going to be the best or the better moment from where you're at in this exact moment? And something one of the coaches said, what that really hit me was, can I let this pain feel good? Like what would it look like if I allowed this pain in this moment, this grief, this anger, this suffering to feel good in some way? Like not deem it as it being this right or wrong thing, not deeming my pain as this is wrong and I shouldn't feel this. And when I don't feel this anymore, then that's when I get to live. What would it look like to just sit with the pain that you're in this moment, the grief, the anger, the resentment, and just be like, okay, this is just what it is. There is no better. There is no destination. There is no place to go. I get to just be with what is here in this moment. And moment to moment, everything changes. What is happening now is what's happening now. 5 minutes from now, that's what's happening now. So just honoring every moment in your life, not deeming it as right or wrong, not trying to escape from the feeling, because the more that we try to escape from the uncomfortable feelings, from the thick and dense emotions, the more that they're going to linger and try to stick on. So when we get to just accept, like, okay, this is just what I'm feeling in this moment in my human experience. This is what this human is feeling right now. Somebody passed away in your life, a relationship ended, a job ended, you got fired. Okay, this is what this human experience is for me in this moment. What would it look like for me to just honor that? For me to honor, this is just where I'm at. It's not the right or the wrong place to be. It simply is. Imagine the level of compassion, the level of love that we get to encounter ourselves with when we see situations from this place, not from deeming them right or wrong, good or bad, not from making ourselves feel like this situation needs to disappear and I need to be in the next place right now. Because in this moment, you get to honor that and like honor your darkness, honor the heaviness of it, honor the density of it, and just be with it. And imagine if you saw your pain from that place, how much more incredible it would be when the whatever we would deem as happier moment, joyful moment can feel. If we just get to sit with all of the emotions and not make them be good, bad, right, wrong, they just are. So that was a deeper understanding for me, how we get to just honor all the places in our lives and honor actually how I have shown up in my life in these spaces. Because even in the moments that felt extremely dense and painful, I've been able to be an observer of that and of the experience and just watch it. I think also when we go through a lot of painful situations in our lives, again, we expand our capacity to hold that. And my heart goes out to people that have gone through extreme amounts of pain. We all know somebody that is constantly going through the next and the next and the next painful situation. So my heart goes out to the people that are always having to go through something. And at the same time, understanding and honoring that their capacity to hold is just expanding more and more and more. My capacity to hold has expanded more and more every time that I've gone through a painful experience. And I believe that people that are able to expand their capacity to hold pain are the ones that are able to show up from a more authentic and loving place for other people as well. They usually tend to be the therapist, the healer, the coach, the yoga teachers. They usually do tend to fall into these spaces where they are now in service of others because they've gone through such depths of darkness that they've gotten to honor and understand, that it makes it easier to be able to like see somebody in the eyes and be like, oh my gosh, I have got you. Like, I understand what you are feeling in this moment. So I wanted to share that with you guys, just to almost make it like a mantra also of there is no destination. Like, stop waiting. There is no destination. You are already there. Because when we are seeking for more money, for more this, for more that, it's coming from a place of seeking something else. This is all material stuff that we end up seeking at the end of the day. So really, if I'm seeking to have more money, well, how can I give myself the feeling right now of that? Like, what is having more money going to make me feel? Oh, it's going to make me feel more free. Okay, what would freedom do in this moment? What would freedom look like right now? And what would abundance feel like right now? Maybe in our minds, we have this idea that abundance is having a ton of money. But something that I love that my coach always says, one of my coaches, Preston Smiles, he's actually coming out with a book soon. I believe it's called The Spiritual Millionaire, and it's all about abundance. So something that he says a lot is, abundance is what you already have. We think that abundance is just having a bunch of money in the bank. But abundance right now is actually like, are you sitting on a couch? Do you have air conditioning? Do you have water? Like, do you have a cup of water that you can sip on? Do you have food in your fridge? Do you have a car? Do you have gas? Oh my gosh, like, you are sitting on so much abundance. Do you have love in your life? Do you have people who love you? Do you feel like you are not missing any of your basic needs? Then you are fucking abundant. You already have it. There is no destination. You are already here. Okay, before I conclude the episode, I want to just touch on one more theme that came up for me during the breath work and all the work that I did over the past few days in the retreat that I attended. And one of those is, and I wrote it down because I really wanted to get it for you guys to hear it. Stop showing people only what you want them to see. Let people see you in your fullness, in all of you. Let people see you in all of you. Something I always say to my clients, or even when I teach yoga or breath work or facilitate, is every part of you is welcome here. Every part of you is welcome in this space. The parts of you that you have deemed unworthy, the parts of you that you have deemed bad, all of that is welcome in this moment, in this space. Because there's no need to shame ourselves for who we are. My coach said something that was super powerful. There are no throwaway humans. And while there may be humans that are not doing things that we agree with, while there may be humans that are hurting other humans, there are no throwaway humans at the core of who we are deep down in our soul. There are no throwaway humans. There are just humans that are confused. There are humans that are in deep pain. There are humans that are drowning in their own trauma and they don't know how to process it, so they project it onto the world. But there are no throwaway humans. All of you is welcome here in this space. And I notice that I say this to my clients and to the people in my life, and that I don't necessarily live by it fully. I don't necessarily show myself in my fullness. And like I said, this is something I've been working through. Showing myself in my fullness for me looks like not filtering what I say, obviously honoring and being respectful of when I'm speaking and how I'm speaking, but not filtering myself based on if others will agree with what I say. So you're getting to see me really stepping into this part of myself because the work never ends. Like maybe this is where I'm at right now. This is what I'm working through in this moment. In the future, I may be working through something totally different, because as we begin to expand our capacity and as we step deeper into ourselves, we start to peel back layers. And when we peel back a layer, we might find another layer, which is why, again, the saying, there's no destination, you're already here, is so important. And it's so beautiful, because when we look at it from that perspective, we know that, okay, maybe this is what I'm working through now. This is where I'm at now. But as I peel this layer, there's a whole new place to be. So there is no final destination. The work just continues. And it's important to always be a student of the work. When I put myself in spaces where I know that the people that are teaching me, the coaches that are in front of me, have been doing the work for much longer than I have, and they've been teaching the work and they've lived the work, and they're full embodiments of the work that they're preaching and expressing. I go in as a full-on student, as if I have never heard what they've said before. Even when I'm going in and just talking to somebody that is embodied in something, I do not like go in and say, yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. No, like I get to listen, because you may know more than I do. And even if what you're saying I've already heard, I listen to it with new ears, because there is always something new in whatever someone is saying, even if you've already heard it. I could read the same book 5 times, and every time I read it, it's a whole new book. Like there's a whole new interpretation and perspective of what I am reading. So all that to say is, continue to be a student of the work, continue to listen with open ears, and to put yourself in spaces that feel uncomfortable as well, that feel like they expand you beyond your edges. So if you've never been to a retreat of any sort, highly recommend putting yourself in spaces where there's people that are also wanting to do the work to become better versions of themselves, while also honoring where they're at in this moment. So I'll conclude today's episode by saying, honor where you're at in this moment while continuing to become an even better version of yourself. There is no destination. You are already here. Honor where you are in this moment. Thank you so much for listening to Path to Alignment, you guys. I have some cool announcements coming up very soon. So follow me on social media at Hungry Yogi to tune into any of those announcements. I'm working on a group coaching program. I'm working on virtual yoga classes that will be happening weekly very soon. My Matcha Mama yoga retreats happen 4 times a year. So stay tuned so that you can come to one. If you're not from Houston, come to Houston. Highly recommend putting yourself in the space. I curate these retreats in a way that just really allows us to step into discomfort for growth. And honestly, it's beautiful. We connect with Mother Nature, we connect with each other, we connect with food, we connect to the present moment. I create journal prompts for people to connect deeper to themselves, to the season of nature that we're stepping into, so that we can really sync up with nature and let ourselves honor our own personal seasons as we honor the seasons of nature. So if you haven't had a chance to come to Matcha Mama, this is your time. This is your time. By the time I launch this episode, I may have already had my next one. It's October 5th, 2024. I don't know what year it'll be when you listen to this. So October 5th, 2024 for the fall, but I'll be having another one in January for the winter, and then for the spring, I usually do Earth Day. So stay tuned. I always post on my social media whenever I have my events coming up. I'm really excited to also be working on my own yoga app. So starting with these virtual classes is where the app is really going to start to birth itself. So whenever I announce that, I hope that you guys can join me for these virtual yoga classes. as it's going to be a really cool way for us to connect from wherever you are in the world, from wherever I am in the world, and for me to share with you guys a practice that has been so near and dear to my heart, that has been the absolute most pivotal catalyst for my own personal development journey and my journey of stepping into myself and discovering myself. So if you've never done yoga, this is your chance. It's for everybody. It's for all levels. I will be announcing this very, very soon. So stay tuned on my social media at Hungry Yogi. You can also follow Path to Alignment on Instagram to watch little clips from the podcast episodes, to repost any clips that resonate with you, to share them with your friends. And if this podcast has resonated with you in any way, if this has served you in any way, first of all, please let me know. Like and comment or share or subscribe to the YouTube channel, to Spotify, Apple Podcasts. And yeah, there's a lot of cool things in the works. I'm on my path to alignment, and there's many different iterations of what this podcast will continue to be. But at the core of it, this is my personal path to alignment that I share so that you can also use it in your own personal life, so that you can feel inspired. I know that there's so many people that I have followed on my journey on YouTube or Instagram or podcasts on Spotify that have been so amazing for my own growth. And that's what I aim to do with these episodes, with this podcast. So I hope you're enjoying it, and I will tune in with you guys very soon. Thank you.